all, congratulations to the Great Lakes Institute for conceiving this program. Very timely. I also like the structure of the program. And talking to some of the faculty who are going to take you through this program, I find it very, very interesting. It's a program that, like Mr. Vishwanathan said, something that we have to work together to create. There is a tremendous body of knowledge that's available about big data, business analytics, business intelligence. But there is no single direction, either from a technology perspective or from a business perspective, as to which direction this is headed. We'll talk about some of that. And what is the outcome that can be expected out of a program like this? It's something that we all have to openly discover. And that's the reason why I think the structure of the program is very interesting, which is learning outside, where you spend a lot of time outside, interacting with industry people, working in your own respective organizations, coming back here and sharing that, discovering things, discussing things that you've learned in order to identify newer body of knowledge that can be applied. Given that is the structure of the program, what I'd like to do is to talk about a few case studies or simple examples and leave you with a thought about what we call a crossroads model. A crossroads model that's applicable across all aspects of computing and all aspects of business. Let's see if we can weave that story together. We are talking about, I think Professor Bala was talking about the stock market. How can we predict performance of stocks, etc., etc. That's something that has been, engaging the attention of everyone, corporations, individuals, etc. I have the good fortune to interact with Vanguard, the #1 equity investment company in the world. They have something like $2 trillion under management, assets under management, millions of retail customers, institutional customers, etc. And they have a very, very unique model. The model that they follow is the profits or the margins that they make go back to the investors. Like a mutual fund, like a trust model. There is no, all the customers of Vanguard are the stakeholders, because it goes back to them. And there is a desire on the part of Vanguard to keep the operations as efficient as possible, doing things better, cheaper, faster, and also to reduce the overall cost. The cost of managing funds that they charge to their customers today is something like 0.14%, compared to 2% that many of the financial institutions in India charge for managing our money. And their goal is to take it to something like 0.10%, 0.10 basis by the year 2020. They say they can do it. Why? Because they say we have all the data today to analyze. We have the technology that's available today to analyze it. The only thing that we lack is the business direction that individual companies will take. If we model our scenarios as all the companies that we invest in are going to be successful by following some of the technologies that are available, there is one set of outcomes that we can plan for. But if they don't, there is another set of outcomes there. And that's the dichotomy, that's the dilemma that we have to figure out in the form of a model in order to reduce our cost and be the best in that particular industry. Terrific example. And they're going about doing it. The crossroad aspects of that I will come to. Second example, somebody was talking about the electricity bill. All of us, we receive a telephone bill. If we we don't have individual items, I don't think we'll be comfortable paying. Credit card statements, we don't get the details, we won't be comfortable paying. And yet, when we receive the electricity bill, we get a lump sum amount, pay 20,000 rupees, that's it. There is no breakup. You receive your water bill, where did I consume? Where did the water go? Why am I paying so much? Which is important in the future because water is going to be priced higher and higher. And yet, in today's technology, it is possible to get an itemized bill for the electricity use in your homes. You say how much electricity is consumed by the air conditioners, how much per light, how much in this particular area, etc., etc. All it requires is placing some simple sensors and collecting the data, which can be done in such a simple manner that once it is done, we will wonder why it wasn't done all these years. So there is technology that's available for collecting the data, and then the business sense has to be justified, or the business case has to be made for that to happen. So there are several such examples that you can see in our day-to-day lives where technology can be applied enormously to solve the problems. The advances in technology have been faster than the advances in their application. It's the first premise, the first hypothesis that I want to lay before you, because that's a clear crossroad type of a situation. Technology is advanced so much, business applications are way behind. At some point, business applications or the business intelligence will have to intersect so that business demands more from technology than the other way around. There are enough technologies that are available waiting to solve the problem today, whereas the true situation should be there should be enough business problems waiting for the technology to solve it. That's all. Go straight for and any problem, data-related problem, you take to the algorithm for analyzing that data. Companies use the GE, for example. Images, healthcare images. Have 3D images, and how can robots observe using these images? And they have the expertise waiting for applications. The director of that institute, which is probably relevant today, the election time, director is one Dr. Rajiva Karandikar, who is the former director of Indian Statistical Institute, a psychologist. He analyzes all the data and makes all the predictions. He is in great demand because the opinion poll sample data is available. And his challenge is, he's been doing it, projecting sample data to census data and predicting the outcomes, the election outcomes is something that he has been doing. And that's not new, it's not just elections, it's there everywhere. Nielsen, I'm sure all of you are familiar with Nielsen, the ratings agency. Television rating, they would do based on sample data. They had the best algorithms in the world to pick either based on people meters or set-top boxes and say, given the viewership, I'll project and tell you what the TRP is, plus or minus 2-3%. Algorithm model. But now, that's outdated. Nielsen, for example, is a company called Bluefin Labs that came up with a different model. They said, why should I project? Why should I extrapolate from a sample to census? I have the means to collect the census data. I'll poll everyone. They are doing it. Individuals are watching programs. Individuals are expressing their likes and dislikes. Individuals are saying what they are interested in, etc. Through Twitter, through Facebook, through the various channels. I'll collect that information, analyze it, tell you more accurately. It's not plus or minus 2%, it's plus or minus 0.5%, greater level of accuracy and in real time. And there was a challenge between Nielsen and Bluefin, and Bluefin Labs won. You might have read that case study where J.C. Penney put out an ad with Ellen DeGeneres, and they were very, very doubtful as to whether it would click. Whether it would click because of the background of Ellen DeGeneres, but it was a resounding success. Within 10 minutes of airing the ad, they knew what the outcome was. Because had the ability to collect the data, the technology was available, and fortunately there was a business problem to solve in that particular instance. So there are examples like this, very many, very many. Amazon was mentioned. Amazon has put out so many businesses completely out. Borders, Barnes and Noble, gone out of business thanks to Amazon because they adapted a model which is different. It's happening here in our country, in our city. Landmark has closed its bookstore, the #1 bookstore in Apex Plaza, and the bookstore in city center is closing down. Just following the global example. We cannot say that what's applicable in the Western world is not applicable here. It is applicable. It is going to follow here. Books are being sold by Flipkart far more than the regular bookstore. So the business models are changing, the analytics are changing, and there are 2 or 3 things that are happening. Why is it relevant? People are beginning to share data without any restriction. When you wanted to buy something online, early days of e-commerce, people were afraid of providing their credit card data, their information, their telephone numbers. The new generation, the millennials, they're very happy providing all the data. That's a crossroads point where privacy, confidentiality, security, which we all talk about, has given way to a lot more of openness, because the value that they get out of sharing that data, after being a lot more open, is far more than the risk associated with privacy or security. And 2, technology has advanced to such an extent that data can be really very, very secure. One of the biggest cases that happened, I'm sure many of you have read about it. IBM had to fight this battle. IBM had this concept of smarter planet. They look at some of the mega problems and solve that problem. And the way they solved the problem, the traffic problem in one of the Scandinavian capitals, I think Oslo or one of those cities, there were traffic congestions, and they were looking to implement a model like the London model, where there is a congestion tax that is levied on vehicles that were coming into the city during a particular time. IBM said, that's not an elegant solution, that hasn't worked effectively in that way. I'll come up with a solution whereby I'll install cameras in strategic points in the city, measure the density of traffic, and also identify which are the vehicles that are passing through these points and at what point, what time of the day do they pass, by just taking a picture of the license plate, analyzing it, and every month I'll send a bill to the vehicle owners for driving the vehicle in a congested area during the peak hours. You'll get a variable bill. If you're not going through the congested area, lower bill, etc. etc. The risk there was, one, the technology risk was, how can you identify so precisely based on a picture that's taken of the license plate? Because the license plates, etc. are standard. That's a technology problem, and these days, cracking a technology problem is far more easy than cracking the business implementation. The bigger challenge was the privacy issue. The people who were driving the cars said, I don't want people to know where I'm driving. And IBM had to go to an enormous extent to prove that the data would be maintained by us on a no-name basis, and the data is not at risk. Tried it out on a pilot basis, and when they started seeing the bills and they were able to manage their work pattern, their driving pattern, and by the way, the city also benefited. The public transport improved. The cost of private vehicles driving came down by 40%, and the public transport usage went up by 40%. Phenomenal benefits. Then more and more people said, I subscribe to that plan. You can, even today, I was given the option. If you don't like that, you can opt out. You just have to give your number plate, this can be taken out of the system. They have that trust in the system. Now it's almost census all the people participating in that program. Again, fantastic technology. They managed to cross that tipping point, that inflection point, at that crossroad where the business made sense and the technology was good. So there are several examples that one can go through here elsewhere in the world that is pointing to this crossroads model and people happily willing to share their own data. And what's important is, as I said at the beginning, I want to reiterate, there are not enough business problems to solve. We've been working on it, Cognizant has been working on it for the last 4 or 5 years. We set up a center called Center for the Future of Work. Maybe Suresh will touch upon it a little later as to how we use it. Center for the Future of Work is to talk about in what ways the world that we live in will change. And then the people who were researching there came up with this model, call it the Code Halos model. Code halos is all about, we all have a halo of code around us. Our likes, our dislikes, our interests, our preferences, our aspirations. Every time you like something in Facebook, you're saying something about yourself. Every time you buy a book, you're saying something about yourself. Every time you comment about something, you say something about yourself. Every time you visit certain sites, there is information. This is a code. This is of phenomenal value. When you walk into a coffee shop, a coffee day, and order something, that information is available. I pay for it by credit card, that information is available. The next time I go to any coffee shop, cafe coffee day shop, they should be able to immediately give me, okay, you're here. This is what you order. Here's that coffee. That kind of information is available. And this code is not just with individuals like you. That code halo is available on products. That code halo is available with organizations. Organizations have characteristics. They have interests. They have values. They have beliefs. They have directions. They have performance. All that data is available. Suppliers, machines that you track. So the new world is about code halos. And when people interact, when I interact with an organization, when I interact with Cafe Coffee Day, or when Cognizant interacts with the supplier of services, these code halos interact. They create opportunities for delivering a better experience, better product, better price points, etc. Whole load of opportunity that is available because we understand the code, we understand the code halos. And then there is a deliberate model, I won't go into the details of that code halos model, where how will you get to this kind of a crossroad from a starting with, there are some names that are given to that model, where you have all this data, in the initial stages there is some kind of an ionization that happens. All these free radicals that are floating around. Then there is a spark that comes and ignites this. It's an idea that a spark. And then there is enrichment. That idea is enriched. And then it leads to a crossroad where the business takes over and solves the business problem. We tried it out in one simple example. I'll stop after that. That's what's called a company called Classel. Some of you may have heard of it. It's an online portal, education related. It encourages students to come in and participate, use the site to study, to appear for examinations, to prepare for GMAT examination, for example, to visit various portals, to take any type of personality test and store the score, etc., etc. So Classel as a profile builds a profile of people who go through Classel on the code halo basis, on the basis of what tests do you take, what sites do you visit, what books do you read, and how long do you read a book, what articles do you read, and how long do you read that particular article, etc. As a result, it has a profile. And Classel came to Cognizant and said, you tell me the profile of people that you want hired in the organization, the people who are successful. I'll give you exactly those type of people based on the data that I have. So this is fantastic. We just do this aptitude test and look at their scores, academic scores, and with that we're able to tell us that this person A has a greater chance of aligning with the values and the vision of the company than a person B. That's of immense value to us. Except that we don't know what that profile is. We just don't know what is the profile of the successful people in the firm. We can tell you in terms of educational qualifications, we can tell you in terms of what they have done, what their limited interests are, but we don't have the type of rich data that we have. This is no problem. Allow about 50, 100, 200,000 of your people to participate in Classel. They are the sample group. I will figure out what the profile is of these successful people, use that as a filter, and tell you the people we should be hiring in the organization. And that's an experiment that worked phenomenally. And they've gone on from there to tremendous other things. It's not just a question of recruiting. The last experiment Classel carried out was customer behavior. And eBay partnered with them. They said, we will give you 10,000 coupons of 500 rupees each for those people who satisfy the profile that they have. And that's an experiment that's going on. So the point that I'm trying to make with that is how these code halos that are hovering around us can be effectively used to analyze data, come to meaningful decisions, and deliver a much greater product, much greater experience to our customers, and build a better society. To that extent, the course that we have chosen will be an invaluable one. I understand that it is going to have a greater emphasis on business, rightly so, because the belief that you should have is, while technologists may talk about complex jargons, polyglot databases, NoSQL, new SQL, all kinds of things, that's relatively very simple. That's simple. We just take it for granted. There are enough technologists who are able to solve the problem. It's the application, it's the business understanding, it's the strategic team that will deliver something of enormous value that you have to look at. And that's where I hope this course will be helpful to all of you. I wish you all the very best and fantastic engagement with everyone among yourselves as well as with the industry. Thank you.